Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be discussing the Promised Neverland, to be more specific, Promised Neverland arc Goldie Pond. I just want to discuss this because it was never in the anime, well, the second season of the anime, and it is probably one of the best things I've ever read. But before we get into all of that, I would just like to say a few things. First of all, if you do enjoy this video going forward, please make sure to subscribe, smash that like button, and leave a comment down below. And also, this video will be it'll a lot of spoilers, so keep that in mind going forward. All right, I, I'm not entirely sure how I wanted to make this because this is my fourth time recording this video, and each time there was a problem. The third time I was mostly yawning, but to be fair, I was sleep deprived. Um, so I've decided what I'm going to do with this video is actually just discuss what I liked about the arc, because I realized my videos prior to this were actually just glorified recaps. And if you wanted to watch a recap video, you'd watch a recap video without the extra nonsense. So maybe I'll start doing recap videos, but probably not. Who knows? But aside from that, let's get into it. So the Goldie Pond arc is an arc in the Promised Neverland, an extremely popular manga, I would say, and this arc is so good. I would dare say it rivals some One Piece arcs, and you know how biased I am to One Piece. Like, this arc is incredible. Kaio Shirai knocked it out of the park. It is so good. So very, very good. Not to mention, I just I can't get over how good the art style is in this series, and it really shines through even more so in this arc than any of the ones prior. Like, not that there were many arcs before this, because you got the Gracefield arc, you've got the Runaway arc, like the Forest arc, which is basically just like trying to get you from one arc to another. You got the bunker, and then the bunker practically just brings you to Goldie Pond. So realistically, there's only three arcs prior to this, and well, only one of them's actually that big. But no, this arc is so incredible, and I'm happy I got to read through it again for this video. 4 hours from 1 o'clock in the morning. That is how much time I spent reading this arc again. But damn, it was good. Um, I'm not gonna mention everything in this video. In my videos prior, I mentioned all the characters, but this time I think I'll only be mentioning the ones that I think actually of note. But yeah, first of all, I'd like to talk about the design of the arc and like where it takes place. And where it takes place is a pretty good idea. Having like a hunting ground as your like setting for an arc is so good, and having like and referring to your villains first as poachers is such a good idea. I, it's such a good idea, and then the design of the hunting ground, it's so good as to like trick you into like a false sense of security. Obviously, you know there's something bad with it, but like if you think of the perspective of all the kids that end up there, it really adds up. Like, oh yeah, sure, there'll be monsters in this place that looks like a happy German town. Sure, sure, bub. But no, I love the design of the place. Like the little, what looks to just be little clowns everywhere, like little clown toys just perched on something. I don't know why the design choice went for that, but I love it. It looks really good. And everything about it, the whole idea of the forest around it feels like the farm from like early on in the series, only a bit more warped, and I think that works for such a dangerous place. I like the fact that I also like the fact that how the kids who show up here, they're like, yeah, sure, monsters. All right, all right. So it looks like somebody's had too much Stella. And then they quickly change their tune when monsters show up, and I love that they put that in there because obviously, who's gonna believe they've just come from like the best orphanage to ever grace this earth, and then they're like, yeah, sure, I'm in a monster hunting town. Yeah, sure, sure. And then they are like I think that's a great way of like making it feel a little bit more like tense. Like the kids have no idea what they're walking into. Um, and they really they really don't. They're really in danger, and that's why the other kids try to warn them, but of course they don't listen. Um, and I think the character designs in this arc are absolutely incredible. Oh, like even the characters that are just put in there to be like to just be like cannon fodder, like even they had somewhat of a unique design for while they were around. I think it was like Monica and Jake. They had a decent enough design, seeing as they were only around for like about 2 chapters before they met their untimely death. Um, all the demons as well, the demons. Um, all of the demons are designed perfectly. I think they all look extremely unique. I think the masks help them with that a little because without the masks you do see their face, but it's kind of just like they've kind of just got all of the same faces. Like their faces are just covered in eyes and huge teeth with no real mouth to keep the teeth in. Um, but I think the maths do a great job at like changing that. Not to mention incredible choice of drip for one of them, and I will talk about him as well. But I'm not sure if I'll talk about him in depth in this video because there is a villain in this arc that I believe deserves his own video to himself because he is such a good villain. He's my favorite villain in the entirety of The Promised Neverland, and damn does he have some Michael Jackson-esque drip. But yeah, it's incredible. So character designs overall are incredible. If I had to pick my favorite character designs from this entire arc, I'd probably go. Probably have to go Gillian, Hugo, and maybe Nigel. I would say Emma or Ray because they have some of the most distinct designs throughout the entire series. But they are the main characters. I'm not going to include them as only the main focus of this arc. But incredible designs for characters, an incredible world design for the current arc. And also, the story is so good. Everything happens at like such a good pace. It's incredible. And though I've heard people complain about this, I've heard complaints about this arc, and that is because the characters. And to be fair, what this arc does is introduces far too many characters, and seeing as we've already got characters that don't show up in this arc that will be appearing after this arc has finished, who have then got even less of a role than they did before, I think it does kind of give you a bit of a problem because it's like they didn't have a role before. They're supposed to be like the main cast, and now they have less of a role than that. But like, although I partially agree, I I don't mind it because of course not every character is going to have the spotlight. They wouldn't have had time to do that unless the series was like maybe about 50 chapters longer. And when it comes to long running shonens, I'd actually say The Promised Neverland is quite short in comparison because 180 chapters in comparison to like what are mostly normally like 200 or so, most of the time 300 chapters odd. So I just don't think like they couldn't have given every character their own moment to shine because there's a lot of characters. Like that is one of the things about Promised Neverland. You can't write out then just the characters just up and vanishing. You can have characters dying, but you can't just have them up and vanish because hell, they came from an orphanage. The whole goal is to get all of the kids out of the orphanage. Of course, we're not going to memorize every single character. Yeah, they have distinct designs, so you expect them to get their own attention. But like, we can't. You can't just give every character like that spotlight. So even if you just give them a tiny bit, like in the background, I think that's more than enough in some situations. But that's just me. I I'd like to say I'm a professional, but I am not. Um, but no, let's stop talking about that for a moment and actually talk about the story, which I thought I was talking about, but I started trailing. But the story in this chapter, in this arc, is incredible. We instantly get it set up for us, and we instantly get a motive, to destroy all demons in Goldie Pond. They've been hunting us, now we're gonna hunt them back. Incredible. I love it, and I do enjoy the fact that it's like, yeah, so these kids are like 4. We're not gonna give them a gun. So I do like the fact that they've quickly decided, like, they've quickly shown as well, like, who's gonna be taking part in the fight. It's gonna, which is actually pretty good. You know, they show, like, they introduce all the characters who'll be taking part in the fight. So I'm not gonna mention all of them because, to be fair, one of them does show up for this arc. She shows up, kind of breaks one of the demon's masks, gets choked, and then I don't think she appears ever again for the entirety of the series. So I'm not gonna talk about her much because I don't think she really does anything, at least none that I can remember. Uh, but if I can remember something, I'll make sure to mention it. But yeah, they have like a quick idea of what's going to be happening. Not to mention, they explain to us that, like, obviously the demons have different masks. All of the masks have been reinforced to protect their weak spot, the eye, and you know they all have to like have special bullets to take down the demons. I think that's good. It easily identifies like who's going to be the biggest targets, you know. And before I get into that, no, I'd actually like to talk about the demons because they're just as good. And I to apologize if I get some of their names wrong because one of them is, it literally looks like Luke, but it's not Luke. Unless maybe it is, maybe it's Luke, and I've just been, and maybe it's just spelt weirdly. Unless Luke is actually spelt with a C and not a K. Well, in that case, I butchered this for 3 videos straight. But I'm okay. I'm just gonna call him Luke for the time being. But you know, his name is spelled Luce. You can decipher that with what you will. I don't know. But this cast of demons is actually incredible. Not to mention, in shows like the Demon Slayer, demons are just kind of like humans, but with like 1 or 2 more eyes, or their skin is a bit redder or something. But in this, like, they're straight up monsters. Like, they're huge. Like, they've got flipping strange ass bodies. Not, and they have got like a whole like. There's a bit of lore on how they are what they are, but like I'm not going to get into that because if I do, then I would be spoiling stuff that doesn't even happen in Goldie Pond, and I think that would be a little bit unfair. So I'm not going to talk about that, but yeah, but I do think the designs of the demons in Promised Neverland far outclass that of something like Demon Slayer and hell, even Black Clover. Like I love Black Clover, but demon designs in that in comparison to this, the only thing I'd have to say about the difference is probably a bit cooler looking. Although at the same time, none of them can compare to my favorite demon, Luthus. He's so cool. Um, but yeah, first demon, Luthus. He's got that Michael Jackson drip like none would believe. Fedora in tow. It's so cool, and he's got a little monkey on his back. He can't get more Michael Jackson. Like Michael Jackson and a monkey, so does he. But we've also got Bayon, who is the leader of Goldie Pond. Noma and Nos, basically twins. Like they could have an age gap in between them, but like they look the exact same. Only difference is they've got a change in gender. So one of them's a boy, one of them's a girl. I realized I worded that and made it sound a bit stranger than it actually is. But but then we got Luke, who is, well, pretty much the child slash brat monster of the demons. Then we've got Palvus, the little demon monkey with his little cyclops eyes. Oh, I love him. He's purple, might I add. A little purple monkey that rides on Levis's back. And then we've also got Bayon's attendance and Luke's attendance. So they are technically I because I've got all this information from the wiki, but they are referred to as servants, but I'm going to refer to them as tendants because it just fits more. Like they basically just attend to any need that Bayon and Luke have. They basically just follow them around and protect them more than anything, and servants are more just like, we'll get you this. But especially for Luke, I would say, he has no defense of himself, so he just uses his attendants. Like hell, the only reason they listen to him is because they'd probably get like ripped to shreds if they didn't. Like, because Luke may be Luke may be weak, but if he goes crying to one of his parents, who are probably like demon nobility, which I also like. This series, this arc does is it gives us a good idea of the demon nobility going forward. As even in like in the very first chapter, well, at least I think it was the very first chapter. It could have in the first episode of the series. I don't know about chapter, but I probably would have been. Um, we see like we see something bad happen, in the very first episode we see like demons appear, like plop Connie in a jar and they go, yeah, I wish I could just have a fingertip of it, and then the other one's like, no, this is like demons with lots of money. And it goes from the very start. We know there's like a class system in the demon world, and we're finally seeing that like now in the story. We're seeing that there is like a class system. We see that you know, people like this are the kind of people who would be in charge of the demon world. Sick people. But at least one of them's got drip. So can you really be angry at him for anything he does? Because he's got drip though, and I think he should be given a pardon for that. So, but just keep that in mind going forward. He got drip. Um, but I think it's a good idea to introduce demon nobility in this way because we will see them going forward, even though they do all kind of just get like bitch slapped in the end game. But they all just have such a terrible performance. Um, but I think it's such a great idea to enter demon nobility in like this way because it shows they are like strong. They have got like power to get whatever they want because realistically, the main character, Emma, shouldn't be in Goldie Pond, and having her there would actually probably get the Queen to, I don't know, probably kill someone. So, she shouldn't be there, but like the demon nobility can just write it off because they can like cover shit up and stuff like that. And I think that is good. I enjoy the fact that they introduced demon nobility in this way, even though I think I've said that like 5 times now. I'm starting to lose track. But no, this series does a great job of doing that. And now that I'm gonna actually talk about what happens in the arc. So I'd say there's 3 parts to this arc. That would be the introduction to Goldie Pond, the preparation for battle, and the battle. Because we get placed in Goldie Pond. Emma gets poached by Bayon's servants, well, attendants, and then she ends up at Goldie Pond, and well, she has a look around, only to hear some people being tormented by Luke. Goes to save them, manages to save them. She throws an axe at Luke's face, almost kills him, but Luvis manages to save the day on that one. He manages to stop Luke from dying. But Emma manages to get these poor kids away, manages to save them, and what does poor Theo of that group, the main guy, the only one who will live, what happens to them? Luvis tracks him down because he wants Emma to hate him more. So Luvis is a great villain, the best villain in this arc, and that is because he's not only got drip beyond belief, but he is also such a creative way of doing a villain like this. And you've definitely seen a villain that'll say, "I'm not going to fight you now. You're not strong enough to even like fight, you're just that weak that I don't even see a point in fighting you. Many series have done that. It's becoming a cliche now, but with Luvis, I love it because it's so well executed. It's not that he doesn't want the to kill her now. He sure he would, but like he wants to save it until she can actually come after him. He wants a bigger fight. So there's one point in this arc where he literally just sits down and says, "Yeah, you're gonna fight me. There's no chance you'll win. I'm just gonna wait until your friends get here so you stand a better chance." And he just sits down. He just takes a sit down. Oh, he's so drippy. He's so unbelievable drippy. Oh, he is my favorite villain of this entire arc because he's so well executed. But this guy literally kills all of Theo's siblings just so that, like, when Emma hears about it from Theo, she'll hate him so much that she'll have even more strength to kill him. It's such a creative way of writing a sadistic asshole, and I love him. He's such a great villain. He's the best villain in the entirety of the Promised Neverland, and Isabella exists for Christ's sake. And she is like a psychological villain. This guy is just the buff psychological villain. Um, I love him. He's so great. Best villain of the arc. And anyway, so you know, Louis's plan goes pretty successfully. Information gets back to Emma about what he's done, and she's not really in the mood to fight at the moment. She's a bit more sad than anything that she believes she should have protected them more. But realistically, what can you do when you're in the presence of Luvis, Grand Duke to be more specific, a member of not just demon nobility but demon royalty? Like what was she gonna do? Like she ain't got the strength to beat that guy. She may be smart, but she isn't buff. So, H. But anyways, we then get an introduction to a big character going forward, Lucas. He is integral to the plot as he's quite smart. He's been in Goldy Pond for 13 years, so he's been managing to survive the hunting ground by hiding out in a windmill, which is like a very secretive place. It's where they like all of the kids who survive there use it as like a base of operations to plan their rebellion against the demons. And Lucas has been cultivating like an army basically, and we do see a lot of lore come in here. I don't. It was okay. I like time to introduce it wasn't. I wouldn't say an incredible time to introduce it though. It was kind of just there. I don't know. I wasn't a big fan of that section of the arc because like all of these big exciting things are going on, and like now that the demons know that oh, it's just like the demons are gonna be more excited than ever. They've got a big one in. They've got a child from Gracefield that they're hunting zone, like which is supposed to be top quality meat only fed to God. So like, I don't like this little lore bit. It's okay, I suppose. Best thing that came from this arc though was Emma finally got drip. Finally stopped wearing white rags. She leaves the house. She wears white stuff. She goes to the bunker, gets just a giant white coat and some big boots, and then like she flipping goes here and she's still wearing it. Only this time she's covered in dirt. But now she actually got some drip. She actually got some demon hunting drip, and she's gonna go fight Luivus with her demon hunting drip, and I love it. Finally, a character I can get behind, a character with drip. But no, she finally gets some drip. Everyone's preparing, and then oh shit, demons are here. So I do like the fact that they didn't like give them time, because in almost every series they've got like a set time they have to train. But realistically, if they're in a zone where they're fighting otherworldly, terrifying beings who want nothing more than to eat them alive, they're not exactly going to give them the chance to train to shoot them. Maybe Luivus would, but the others certainly won't. And that works for him. She'll probably want to kill him pretty badly now, so he'll be fine. But no, like I like the fact that they don't give the kids time. See, they're all expecting. Okay, we got 3 days, 3 days to train. Well, two because they do it every other day. But like they like we've got 2 days. We gotta train up. We're gonna get our flipping guns ready. We're gonna go to town. But no, music goes off sooner, and I've neglected to mention this. In the design of the place, there is a little like board that says uh, rules. Number one, music. Number two, monsters. Number three, survive. And so every time the music goes off, demons come out. So they're expecting no music for a while. But what happens? Music comes, and they're like, "Oh shit!" Because all of the demons have learned Emma's from Gracefield, and they're pretty hyped about this. Because of one of the twins and having an extremely large ear, because he listens in on everything apparently. But the twin demons are actually my second favorite demons in this arc, and I will explain why. Because they are the most, like, honestly sickening panels I think I've ever read. I think this may be one of the reasons I can't read Berserk, because I know it's going to be even worse than this. But like, it genuinely foul what these two do, but it is so good. It's so disgusting, but it is a great panel. But no, we're gonna get into that. But yeah, big fighters begin. Part three of the arc. We've had the we've had the big beginning. We've had the intermission, and now we're talking about the big battle at the end. So got overall pretty much five demons of actual note, aside from the servants and the monkey. Although I'd argue that the monkey is extremely notable. So first of all, Levis, he's not going to really do anything for a while. He's going to save him. He's going to save the best to last. So Emma kind of confronts him, but he's just like, "What? You want me to fight you? Nah, bitch." Because obviously not strong enough for him. He wants someone who can actually try and kill him. He wants the hunt to be real. He don't want a hunt where he's the only one hunting. He wants a hunt where someone can hunt him back. I love him. He's so great. So he just waits until someone can actually almost lay a finger on him. So good, love him so much. But then we've got Luke, who gets extremely messed up by Gillian, one of my favorite characters of this arc, because of just how absolutely incredible she is. She is one of the most satisfying moments in this entire series, possibly the most, because she just stands up on a tree, pulls out two assault rifles, one each hand. Luke, he's got his servant. He's like, "Go get her, go flipping kill her, bring her to me." And then she just absolutely sprays them. And he said that, like, what are you gonna do? But no, she does do something. She flipping takes out each and every one of his servants without him noticing. Just aims for their eyes and kills each of Luke's servants. And that's where he's like, he gets a bit of a brainwave, like, "Oh, am I about to be dead?" Luckily for Luke, Killian's gonna give him 10 seconds. Like, he gave all of the people he tormented, saying, "I'll give you 10 seconds to run," or something like that. Where of course, he wouldn't. But turns out she wouldn't either, so she just shot him. It was a great ending. I loved it. It was so satisfying. She finally got revenge for the family that Luke took away from her. So good. I love it. It's great. And now let's move on to the most disgusting of demons in this arc, Noma and Nos. Now, these twins are actually vile. Like, they, first of all, now, I can't be sure because it is drawn and we've never actually seen these characters animated, so I don't actually know really what they're wearing. But if I'm not wrong, I believe both of them are wearing latex, like like leather and like shit. And if that is the case, then why? Why are you wearing this? Because I really don't think they are. But if they are, then no. And next thing about these two is they are ripped out of their mind. Both of them are like ripped as it is, but one of them just gets even stronger going down the line. So they've had a trap set for them. They've got like logs flying down from the trees, one barreling towards them, and they're just like, yeah, log. Who cares? and they just snap the thing in half. So these two are already buff as it is, but they'll only get stronger because they both turn the trees. They're like, oh, what they gonna do? They can't break our masks anyways. So there's 5 special bullets that these kids have. That they've got one reserved for each of the demons. Well, not really. Luke had a weak mask. His servants had weak masks, and the same goes for Bayon's servants. But Noma, Nos, Luivus, and Bayon all have like fortified masks, and they have 5 bullets. So they're gonna have 2 for Luivus, so they can like if they miss one of their shots to break his mask, they'll use the other one. If they and for Noah and Nos, they've got to break both of their masks, so 2 for them and 1 for Bayon. Because Bayon is the second strongest to Luivus, but you know the twins are also pretty powerful. So and not to mention there is 2 of them, so 1 per mask. But they managed to break both of the twins' masks. Although it doesn't go well for them because they one of the twins manages to grab one of the characters, Sonia, and just like holds her up, like chokes her, and then Noma takes such an L. She just gets like sniped because we got another 2 characters, Violet and Violet and Paula in the trees sniping. Violet is actually quite an important character in this arc, which I haven't mentioned yet, but she is basically just a device for Emma to be introduced to all of the other characters. She does do some other stuff, but most of the time she's just used as a device to introduce characters to other people, which is a bit disappointing because I think she could have had a much bigger character, but you know, not really that big of a deal. But Noma dies, and I still can't get over how much that sounds like my dog. Noma, they're practically the same. But I I still can't get over this, but Nos does not take his sister dying in front of him very well. You know, understandable. But to be fair, he doesn't really have the right to mourn, as he's killed tons of innocent children for fun. So he doesn't really have the right to be upset about this. Yeah, you can be upset, but you know, it's your own fault. So, and his sister was the same. But then we have a turn of events. They're all pretty angry at him. They're like, "How dare you cry after what you did?" And then he just turns around and gobbles up his sister. What? You're probably thinking right now. Wait, what? And it should be pretty understandable if you were thinking that because, excuse me, he just turns around and starts eating his sister whole, and becomes more jacked than Cocaine Bear. This guy becomes so ripped, it's actually ridiculous. And he just absolutely solos everyone. Like, no one stood a chance against him after that. And until your boy Hugo finally shows up. So, the beginning of the arc, we see Emma separated from Hugo and Ray. Hugo is the one who helps them get there, but then it's like, no, we got to turn back. It's too dangerous. But before he can do that, Emma gets poached. So eventually, after many a chapters, they finally show up, and Hugo's just like, yeah, turns out I'm a good sniper, and he just takes out Nos. Great. Bayon is a different story. I do like the fact that Bayon wasn't so easily defeated as well. He kind of takes out the team that went to go fight him, which means they have to find a new way to stop him now. I like the fact that they lure him into a trap. And I'm not going to talk about him in depth because out of all of the Demon Lords, I found his battle to be the least interesting. Luivus is extremely cool. Lukey's was my favorite. Like his battles, Luivus is my favorite demon. But Lukey's moment was just so satisfying. The same goes to Noma and Nos. Like Luivus's battle is kind of just like a Dark Souls endurance battle. Like who'll go down first, me or you? So I found Bayon's the least interesting because it was just kind of like, yeah, he was powerful, but it was like, I couldn't really care about him, to be honest. I just lacked any sort of feeling either way towards this character. It was just kind of like, yeah, he's strong, okay. But his battle was okay. Nigel and Gillian, who beat Luke earlier, they tried to challenge him. He absolutely wipes the floor with them. They managed to lead him back to the like hideout where. So at the beginning of this battle, it's revealed that Lucas is actually he because he's lost an arm many years ago. He won't be able to fight very well. So he's actually what he's going to do is all of the younger kids who can't fight, he's going to take them to the secret passageway under the windmill, and they'll all hide there, so that they can't be killed. Which is probably the best idea. But Bayon follows them there. Little did they know that's what they wanted him to do, so they then can catch him off guard and, pretty much game end him. And they successfully do this, but I'm not going to waste any more time. I'm going to get on to what we really want to talk about, which is Luivus, everybody's favorite Luivus. And that's because he has got the Michael Jackson drip, and it's undeniable. But this guy's battle is so good, and I've never seen such a cool endurance battle. I think aside from Katakuri versus Luffy, where both like eventually both sides are equal, and they just like go head to head, like beating the shit out of each other. And Luivus takes some damage, might I add. He takes some serious damage, and he just takes it head on. So I'm gonna try and go over everything sick that Luivus does in this chapter because I absolutely love it. Well, not chapter, arc, because fight. It's gonna be a fight because it's a fight. He does some sicker stuff. First of all, yeah, he's like Emma. Maybe you should consider the fact that nobody's actually coming to help you because all of your friends have died in previous battles. She doesn't believe that, but Luivus is just trying to catch her off guard. Only for Nigel to be there. He's dropped Gillian off in the infirmary after she got slashed up by Bayon, and he's headed over to help Emma with Luivus because the more people to fight him, the better. Because he is. When I said like Nos was more ripped than Cocaine Bear, Luivus is more ripped than 5 Cocaine Bears. So to give you an idea, that's how powerful we're talking right now. Um, but Luivus, he's got his monkey in tow, and they're ready to fight. And Nigel just absolutely fires everything he has at Luivus, like as much bullets as you could possibly imagine. And now, it would be one thing if Luivus just took the shots and was like, "Yeah, it doesn't really do much to me. Sorry." But he doesn't do that. He does something much, much worse. He was so quick. He just caught all of the bullets in his hand. Oh my god. Oh my god. That is just such a flex. Yeah, I could have taken them head on and just regenerated, but you know what? I'm gonna just hold the bullets. Damn. Damn. I love him. He's so good. So suave. But he just takes so many hits after that. So Emma has an idea. So Pepe, one of the other kids who was fighting Bayon earlier, but didn't get game ended, but took some damage. He's got like a broken arm or so. But he manages to splash Luivus in water, quite a lot of water to be fair. And Emma is given the opportunity to electrocute Luivus. Although this guy is just taking it. He just takes this electrocution head on and just like, yeah, you ain't gonna stop me. Um, but they keep firing at him, and guess what? Hugo and Ray have shown up again, and Hugo gets a shot off on Luivus's mask, breaking his mask, and therefore exposing his greatest weak spot. You'd probably think this would be about the time they get an epic victory royale on them. Uh, no, uh, they don't. See, this is a great time for Pepe to use a flash grenade, which he does. And Luvis takes it head on. He's become blind now. Luivus is completely blind. His eyes are his weak spot, and he can no longer see. Like he's in a bit of trouble if I were to say so myself. But this ain't gonna stop him because he's just kind of like, yeah, blind, so what? And he just almost rips Pepe's shoulder off, and then everyone's like, okay, we've kind of run out of ammo. We're gonna run out of it. Well, they're gonna run out very quick, so they have to kind of run. So they hide in a house, which I like. It does change the scenery of the battle a bit because before it was taking place in the town in Goldy Pond, which might I add is still designed incredibly. But they change up the scenery of the battle by having it inside, even if it is only for a moment, because the battle won't really work inside a house. I think it works so well having like Luvis in this enclosed environment because it makes him look even more intimidating than he did before. And might I add, he looked intimidating before, but now putting him in like a smaller environment, it only amplifies just how like intimidating a character he is, and I absolutely love it. It's such a good idea to bring him inside of a house. So they chat for a moment. They're like, "Oh God, Pepe's injured. We're running out of ammo. What do we do?" But it's only a matter of time until Luthus finds where they are. And now they never really explain this. I'm not really sure, but Luthus is a monkey appears like at the window, and then Luthus just instantly breaks down the walls of the house, which I thought. Which does kind of give you the idea that maybe Luthus's monkey is actually another way for him to see, but if that were the case, like he wouldn't have been so worried about the second flash grenade they threw at him later. So like I doubt it, but it's possible. Maybe he just knows his monkey really well. Maybe his monkey let him know that they were over there. Maybe just shouted like, "Hey, over here." Um, but yeah, the team split up then. Ray, Nigel, and Emma run down the hallway and begin like lighting up. They just light up Luvis, just fire at him non-stop. But even so, it doesn't do much to him. But I just love the fact they in this particular panel, and I think this may be one of my favorite panels in the entire arc because of just how well it was drawn and just how good of an idea it was. They they made the hallway ever so slightly winding in the panel, so it looked a bit like look a bit bendy, if that makes any sense. Made the hallway look a bit winding, and then they've got Luivus on one side of the hallway, the kids on the other side of the hallway, assault rifles in hand, just lighting up Luivus. And by making because Luivus is like maybe like I don't know 8 foot tall. Obviously, he's not going to fit in this hallway very well. So they make him look even better by having him like his back is up against the ceiling and he's sort of like creeping down the hallway and just taking all of these shots at the same time. It's such an impressive panel, and I can't prefix this enough. Prefix? I'm gonna stop trying to use big words because my mouth is just not capable of speaking them. But no, it is such an actually great panel, and I love it so much. But yeah, uh, there's only so much more Louis can do, and he's coming to an end now. He's taken a lot of hits, so he just like, you know what, I can't fight in this environment anymore. So just kind of destroys the house and jumps out the side of it. So a little bit sad we couldn't have seen any more of the fighting in the house. Like it could have been good if we saw like a scene in more of a big of an open room, and he just kind of like just goes slamming against every wall, crushing like everything. I think that could have looked very nice, but it's fine. So he breaks out, and oh no, what's that? It's a house coming flying at Luivus. So Violet has brought a character that I'm yet to speak about, Adam, to the scene. Now, Adam is what I could describe to be a buff 2-year-old, because I'm pretty sure he's only about 2, but he is buff out of his mind. And he's from well, all of the kids we've seen so far have pretty much they've all been from like high quality, what I can only describe as free range farms. But this guy, he's from like a mass production farm, and they've been experimenting on him, meaning he's extremely buff out of his mind. And he just throws a building at Luthus. He just up and grabs a house and just starts flinging bits of it at Luthus. And then proceeds to jump up in the air and just punch Luivus down into the ground. Such a good moment. But obviously, this isn't enough. They're all firing at him. They're all getting hits off on Luivus, but he's still managing to avoid them. And then he gets behind Emma, stabs her in the stomach. Incredible scene, but, of course, this isn't going to stop her. She's had worse. And by that, I mean, that time she thought all her family were going to die. Terrible deaths. But, she'll be fine. She can take it. And Luivus just up and stabs her. And it is such an incredible, and I mean it's such an incredible like moment. But she gets up. She gets up and she's like, okay, I got a special gun that I got from the bunker all this time ago. I'm yet to really use it for anything, but it's about time I do. And turns out this gun just has a straight up flash grenade in it, and she uses it to full advantage. So they're all firing at Luivus. He's taking shots like nobody's business, but one of the shots is quite clearly a flash grenade. So at the moment, even if he did manage to stop all the shots, he would end up blind again, and he's just about lost all ability to regenerate because, regenerating. Demons can regenerate as much as they want in this series, but it does take energy, and he's used up a lot of it already because he's been getting blasted throughout this entire fight. Not to mention, like, Adam just straight up broke his arm and damaged his like stomach at the same time. So Luvis is like, okay, what can I do? Do I want to stop the bullets and then like have to use up more energy regenerating, or do I stop the flash grenade? But then he's like, oh, it's too late. I thought about it too long. There's no way I can stop the flash grenade and the bullets now. So thus is the end of Luivus. He takes all of the shots. He gets absolutely shredded to pieces, might I add. Like the amount of bullets that hit him were like astronomical. Like he just absolutely gets shredded to pieces. Although it wouldn't last for long, would it? But no, that is the end of Luivus. Like it was such a good character. I loved him so much as a villain, and it's probably why I will be doing another video, probably entirely focused on him. Because I love him that much. He's my favorite villain in the entire series. He is absolutely vile, but I love him. He's so good. He's got that Michael Jackson fedora drip. I can imagine him over Discord saying "milady" to someone. But he's such a good villain. I love him so much. Extremely underrated because he will never appear in the anime because they were like, no, we can't give kids guns. That would be too violent. But that scene when they put the child in the jar and then talked about eating them, that was acceptable. I think that's fine. Like if you gotta, but I don't understand the reasoning. Why did you do this? Why have you done this to me? But no, I'm not, I've already ranted enough about the second season of The Promised Neverland. But it wasn't real, so it cannot hurt me. But overall, the Goldie Pond arc is an actually fantastic arc as a whole. Like volume 7 to 12, 13. It's so impressive, so great. If you don't even want to read the rest of The Promised Neverland, I just recommend reading this arc because it's so good. It starts at chapter 64. Yeah, 64. And it's so good, so unbelievably good. Character designs, world design, everything about it. The story is fantastic. Everything about it is fantastic, and I can't say this enough. But yeah, I think that is just about where we're going to end this video. I I like to believe this video hasn't become as much of a recap as the ones prior to it. I don't know if you have or not, but this video may be edited. I don't know. Like, the plan is to edit it as soon as I get the USB, which is coming today. But my only issue is I should be able to transfer the video onto my laptop, no problem, but I don't know how to edit, and I'm going to be learning to. Hopefully, if I can, it'll only be very basic stuff, I believe, but I want to try and learn how to because editing just changes videos as a whole. It just makes them like when you see a video with editing, you obviously get the idea that it's going to be better than a video without editing, and I want to give you that. I want to make my videos better. Obviously, you have a good video without editing it, but I do want to edit it because I think it could be so much better than just my blank gameplay commentary videos. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. If you have enjoyed, again,